happier news. Vikram-S, India's first privately developed rocket, successfully lifted off from the spaceport in Sriharikota today, marking the foray of the private sector into the country's space industry, dominated so far by ISRO for decades. It's the first private rocket launch taking place in India. Take a look.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Event number 96 completed.
And we have a successful liftoff of Vikram-S rocket. In a few seconds,
a historic day for Indian space industry.
Aerodynamic pressure followed by the motor burnout, and we will get you those
India's first
shortly.
privately developed rocket, Vikram-S, was launched successfully by ISRO from Sriharikota's Satish Dhawan Space Centre. The rocket, developed by private sector firm Skyroot, was launched with 3 customer payloads into space, touching an altitude of over 90 kilometers, gaining a speed of Mach 5, that's 5 times the speed of sound.
One of the key customers would be communication customers, where like people building communication satellites, either for internet of things from space, internet from space, and also like for communications for television, etc., etc. So that is one segment of the market. The other segment is Earth observation. That's where like the cameras are put on the satellites and they click images from space, and then this is a lot of mapping, weather prediction, and several other analytics can be generated from remote sensing satellites.
What we are doing is catering to the launch segment, where most of the satellite operators who are trying to render services in a cost-effective manner to their customer have a bottleneck of high cost of launching to space. And the vision with which we started is basically to be able to achieve a low-cost space access solution company. So where most of our customers are enabled to provide such services to the world.
The successful launch of Vikram-S marks the entry of the private sector into the Indian space program, which has so far remained government-controlled and funded. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said the launch bears testimony to the talent of Indian youth.
It is indeed a new beginning, a new dawn, and shall I say, very appropriately as our team members have put it, a new prarambh in the journey of India's space program.
I think it's a historical day, not simply because what got launched today. In fact, what got launched today was a simple rocket. But the fact that private sector has come this far to be able to prepare a rocket completely on their own, to have it reviewed by ISRO experts, INSpace experts, and get certified and authorized to launch is a milestone.
Skyroot says the launch vehicle met all mission parameters, setting the stage for the launch of the Vikram-1 rocket next year. The entry of the private sector, Persianing with Indian companies, puts it on a path towards programs like those in the United States, Europe and China. With Pramod Madhav in Sriharikota, Bureau Report, India Today.
Okay, and we spoke to the 2 people behind it. Pawan and Vikram join us now on the show tonight. Congratulations on the successful launch of Vikram-S. Tell us first about the rocket, its capabilities, what it does.
Yeah, so Vikram-S is a suborbital vehicle. So it will, it goes to above 80 kilometers in altitude and splashes back into the sea with, test payloads. We're testing a lot of systems during the flight. So it has, it goes from the liftoff till the splashdown. It stays in flight for around 300 seconds. It can lift a payload of up to 80 kilograms. And today we have done the flight at 11:30 a.m. Which has become an historic flight for the country, as being the first private company or the first private rocket to launch to space.
Now, Vikram-S is a suborbital rocket. You want to explain to us what that means? How is it different from an orbital rocket, which I believe this is the next one you're planning? Vikram-1, we are told, is an orbital rocket.
Yeah. So orbit is anything where a satellite is launched with a particular velocity, so that it sustains to stay in that orbit for a long period of time. So that requires large amount of energy, and the rockets are generally quite big. That's what Vikram-1 is. And while Vikram-S is a smaller vehicle, which is around 6 meters tall, and so this is the core, the core objective of this is to test almost 80% of the technology on the orbital vehicle with a low cost, platform or the low cost suborbital vehicle. So what suborbital does is that it goes to a particular altitude, and then like splashes back to the sea. Doesn't stay in orbit, but comes back and splashes down the sea. But during this duration is when we can test a lot of our hardware, also a lot and our customer payloads as well. So in a nutshell, orbit is something which will sustain for a long period of time, and suborbit is something which will stay for a very brief period and falls back to the sea.
Fascinating. Naga Bharat Daka, Vikram-S, a single stage rocket. How is a single stage rocket now different from a multi-stage one? And will now private sector like you be developing multi-stage rockets as well?
Yeah, so as previously explained, like a single stage rocket is possible only when we are not only when in a suborbital mission like what we have done today. To achieve an orbital velocities, we generally need multiple rocket stages to be able to achieve the velocities required to insert a satellite into orbit. So the mission we have done today is being a suborbital mission. For the requirements of our mission, we are able to achieve this with single stage solid rocket motor.
One advantage that India's space program has in a way on the rest of the world, it appears, is affordability. Can you tell us how much did Vikram-S cost?
Yeah, so the Vikram-S cost details are confidential, but the Vikram-S, whatever vehicle we build, it will be like way at least a 50% less cost than similar vehicles of the class built either in the Western countries.
One final question: how much of this has been made possible because of the support of ISRO? ISRO has had this track record of building its own indigenous rockets. Did ISRO have a role in design and development of Vikram-S as well?
Yeah, so ISRO do not have the role in design and development of the rocket, but it has a role in the launch of the rocket. In fact, we are using the launch pads and the communication radar infrastructure from Sriharikota or from the Satish Dhawan Space Centre of ISRO was used for the launch. However, the design and development is completely done by Skyroot. So basically, the partnership is more about utilizing their launch facilities for our launch.
And one of the reasons why there's so much of excitement is that this is the first Indian private sector firm to launch a rocket. Big global names, SpaceX, Virgin Galactic, hitting the global headlines with their space tourism projects. I think a question that people would want to know, is space tourism now also on the cards in India?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, like, we in the future, using reusable vehicles, space tourism becomes pretty much a norm. However, we are also, working towards it. But of course, in the early phases, in few years, it could be totally possible.
The global space economy is pegged, we are told, at about $360 billion, could touch $1 trillion according to some analysts. What is this market that you are now eyeing? Domestic, international, or a bit of both?
Currently, the space launch market, I mean to say, majority of our customers to a satellite launch provider like us are currently based abroad, like a foreign market outside India, non-domestic market type per se. 90% of our customers would be based in USA and European markets, but we do see an emerging trend in the domestic market. Non-governmental companies like us, our fellow space startups in India, have been emerging and who have potential to be our customers in the future.
But what about investments? Has it been easy to find for projects like yours? What has been your experience in finding investors? Hello, Pawan? Okay, we're having problems. Yeah, go ahead.
As always, because we need a lot of capital for developing and proving the technology itself. So that way, it has been always a challenge. But of course, we're able to break the ceiling at each stage. We are able to, close to 526 crores as on date, which is the highest in the Indian space sector.
A final question: successful launch of Vikram calls for a celebration. So how do rocket scientists celebrate their success?
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to celebrate yet, and tonight we'll be spending time with our team. Leisure itself is a celebration for us. After all the late nights and the long hours we have spent, our team has spent for the last few weeks.
Well, enjoy your success, celebrate it. Wonderful to hear some good news, and that's our good news today's story, the team behind Vikram-S. Thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight.